So coming in downward facing Shavasana, just finding a place that feels comfortable. And as you get there, just take any little movements that you might need to. So again, you can have your arms by your side, laying on a cheek. Maybe that's a little tense in the neck, so you make a pillow with your hands or slide a blanket underneath your cheek. You could have your arms in a cactus shape. Maybe that will help you to feel a little more release of the shoulder blades down. So just play around here and then waggle your hips back and forth. Just kind of trying to release out that lower back. And then take a nice deep inhale here through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. Let the Mondays go, that to-do list go. If you're feeling a little grumpy like I was this morning, let that go. Take a couple more deep inhales like that, and then exhale through your mouth. And then as you feel ready, you're eventually finding your ujjayi breath. So inhaling through your nose, you're creating a soft rush of air in the back of your throat. There's a little sound. And then you're also exhaling through your nose, also creating that soft rush of air. Try to keep the length of the inhale and the length of the exhale really nice and even. Sometimes it's helpful to count the breath to help you establish that equanimity starting out. So inhaling to 6 or 7 or 8, and then exhaling to that same number. Keep breathing like this. Just turn your cheek to the other side. Notice how it feels different. You might be feeling a little stretch in your neck. If this side is tighter, give yourself a little support. Notice if any tension has crept into your body. Are you kind of gripping the fingers, the toes, the inner thighs? Soften in those places. And let the shoulder heads really try to melt down towards the floor. And mostly just soaking up these moments of stillness as we start here. It's kind of this nice little mini check-in, this little break. Good, nice deep inhale here. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. And then we are going to find our Sphinx pose. So just a little back bending, especially getting into the thoracic here. So go ahead and come onto your forearms, landing with your shoulders over your elbows. And then you're pressing down into your forearms. So hands, fingers spread, they press evenly. And then rooting down into your pubic bone, your sit bones, rolling a little bit to the outer edges of the feet. Notice if your feet kind of splayed apart here. So about hips distance apart, maybe a little narrower. And then feel as though you're going to pull the mat back towards you. And just feel this stretch in the thoracic. Just keeping your chin nice and level here. So you don't need to throw your neck back. You don't want to tuck the chin. Kind of splitting the difference, finding that middle place. But do you feel those shoulder heads press back? Feel the shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other on the center of your back. Breath smooth and steady. And then let's just twist out the neck a little bit. So start to bring your gaze towards your right shoulder. It might not get all the way there. That's okay. You go to the place where you're feeling a stretch and then you stay there. Take a few breaths. And again, just make sure that your legs are active and engaged. You feel those inner thighs spiral up towards the ceiling. Nice, Erica. Come back to center with your gaze. And then start to look out over your left shoulder. Just go to that place where you're feeling that stretch in the right side of your neck. Side to side, this might look really different in your body. Good, come back to center. And then lower on down, bring your arms by your side, palms facing in towards each other. So just setting up for a little Shalabhasana, modified Shalabhasana here, moving with our breath. So as you inhale, keep anchoring into your feet, head and chest extend forward and up, arms lift a little bit. As you exhale, you lower down nice and slow. Legs feel really heavy here. Inhale, lift. Can be the tiniest amount. As you exhale, lower down. So really we want more extension than lift. We are really trying to access these muscles on our back. Exhale, you lower. Couple more, moving at your pace with your breath. Really stretch back long through all 10 toes. You keep those toes pressing down into the mat. One more, inhale, come on up. Lift the shoulder heads a little higher. Feel the shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other. Gaze soft and gentle in front of you. Maybe you start to lift your feet up off the mat here. If that introduces intense gripping sensation into your lower back, you place them back down. One more deep inhale. Feel a little lift, a little lightness. Nice work, Kyla. As you exhale, lower down. And then bringing your fingertips underneath your shoulder heads. So let's all just splay our elbows out. So kind of like you're doing the funky chicken dance. And just notice what happens with your shoulder heads. They start to dip down, kind of start to crunch the neck a little bit. Now squeeze those elbows in towards the midline. Observe how the opposite happens. You start to feel this widening across your heart and chest. Those shoulder heads lift up, the shoulder blades squeeze in. We want to hold on to this action as we're moving here. So same thing, just moving with the breath. As you inhale, not pressing into your hands. It's not a deep back bend. Head and chest extend forward and up. As you exhale, lower down. And again, you're reaching back nice and long through all 10 toes. So the tops of your feet are pressing into the mat. Inhale, chest lifts. Good, exhale, lower. Keep those elbows squeezing in. Inhaling up. Good, exhale, lower down. Inhale up, hold here. So the front of the neck is nice and long, the back of the neck is nice and long, so we're not going too far in one direction or the other. And then from here again, start to turn your cheek, your gaze off to that right shoulder, keep the elbow squeezing in. Feel that little stretch in the neck. Inhale back to center. And then as you exhale, bring your gaze out over that left shoulder. Keep elbows squeezing in towards each other. Breath smooth and steady. Good, back to center. From here, we're going to press to our tabletop. Pull back into a child's pose. Move nice and slow. So we just did a lot of back bending. So maybe just kind of wiggle your hips back and forth here. Feel that lower back, the lumbar start to release. And then maybe you start to bring your forehead towards the mat. Let's keep our arms extended forward today. And you can think downward facing dog arms here. So you're spreading the fingers, lengthening forward. The forearms might even be lifting up off the mat a little bit. You might start to feel a little more space in the shoulders. And then from here, start to walk your hands off to the right. So you're laying your belly out over that right thigh. Really try to spin those left ribs down towards the right thigh. So you're getting a little twist here. You can just rest your cheek, your right cheek on that upper right arm. Need not go very deep here. Come back to your breath if you've lost it at all. Good. Walk back to center. And then off to the left. So laying your belly or moving towards laying your belly out over that left thigh. Resting your right cheek on the right arm. I said that on the other side. I should have said the opposite. You guys probably figured that out. Listening to your breath. Good, walk back to center. All right, roll up to your tabletop position. So your shoulders land over your wrists. Knees are under your hips. Walk your hands slightly forward here. Keep the belly lifted and engaged. We're gonna shift forward so shoulders come slightly ahead of wrists. Keep your belly lifted. Exhale, lower, elbows bend. They squeeze in like that cobra pose. Pause it halfway. Gaze forward, neck nice and long. And then onto your belly. Lengthen back through all 10 toes, pressing into the tops of your feet. As you inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Okay, so we've done quite a bit of back bending so far. If you are ready to try an upward dog, bring your hands back a lot. Check to see that your wrist is underneath your elbows. If you're in a good place, just stay in your low cobra. If you're moving towards upward dog, press into the tops of your feet, press into your hands so the arms come to straight. Your shins, your knees, your thighs should be lifting up off the mat here. If they're not, lower back down. Otherwise, you're putting a lot of pressure in the lower back. Couple breaths here. Kind of the same actions happening. Legs working a lot. Feel those inner thighs spiral up. Direct your tailbone towards your heels. Press the shoulder heads back. Beautiful work. If you're in your up dog, you can roll over your toes and pull back downward dog. If you're in your low cobra, press to your tabletop. Curl toes under, downward dog. So first one of the day. Find a little movement, pedal back and forth. You can shift hips side to side, whatever feels good. As always, you can just come into a place of stillness. So just noticing what, it's probably like the first downward dog of the week for most of us. So just paying attention, checking in with your body, seeing how things feel. And we all start to find a little place of stillness here. Let's all take a nice deep bend in our knees. So you kind of come up to your tippy toes. This is going to allow you to stretch your sit bones up towards the ceiling a little more. Make sure that you're gazing between your feet. So your neck is releasing down. Your ears are in line with your biceps. And then as you peek at your feet, make sure that your feet are about hips distance apart. Second and third toe are pointing forward. Stay on those left toes. As you exhale, start to reach that right heel closer to the floor. So you're going to stretch into the back of that leg. Nice. Good work, Christy. Couple breaths here. Come back up to that right tippy toes on your inhale. And then as you exhale, press that left heel back. So you're going to get into the back of the leg, hamstring, calf, Achilles a little bit. This can be really intense. Doesn't matter if your foot hits the floor. Good, inhale, back up to both tippy toes. You can keep that little bend in your knee, but start to melt both heels towards the floor. Don't do that at the expense of losing that reach of the sit bones up towards the ceiling. And then really quick, peek forward between your hands. Make sure that your arms are shoulders distance apart, fingers are spreading and pressing evenly. It actually feels a little awkward. However, this really helps to strengthen and support the wrists. Release your neck back down, so you're just gazing between your feet. Nice deep inhale here. These look great. Nice and slow, start to walk your feet forward to meet your hands. So walking into a little forward fold at the top of your mat. And then when you get there again, just find a nice deep bend in your knees. Your feet are about hips distance apart. Grab opposite elbows and then just hang down here. Imagine that there is a weight attached to your head, bringing you a little closer to the earth. And then keep your trunk nice and still, but just start to swing the elbows side to side. And you might just find that that helps you to release the neck down, kind of gets into the shoulders a little bit. Good, and then change the cross of the arms so the opposite elbow comes in front. And this time nod your head, yes. Really try to let the neck release. It's hard to do. And then nod your head, no. Good, and then let the head just come back to center. It's feeling nice and heavy. Release your fingertips down to the mat. With that little bend in your knees, feel the arches engage in your feet. You slowly start to roll up to standing. Take your time. Feel the vertebrae stack on top of each other. So the head is the last thing to come up. Good, and then just peek down. So feet might be hips distance apart. They might be a little closer here if you feel steady doing that. Do, however, check to see that second and third toe are pointing forward. So that kind of helps us to find that nice, just a good place symmetrically with our body. And then arms are by your side. We're gonna start to flow here. So just taking a couple breaths, noticing the actions happening in this pose. So the legs are really active as the tailbone releases down. We lengthen through the sides of the waist. We feel this openness across our heart and chest. It's almost a little bit of that cobra pose feeling. Good, and we start to flow. So as you inhale, options, you can stretch your arms out and up. If space requires you to reach forward and up, that works too. Sometimes that just feels better in our shoulders. As we exhale, we hinge forward, fold in. Again, for these first few forward folds, a little bend in the knees is really nice. Inhaling, fingertips could be on the floor or hands on shins or thighs. Chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. So we're kind of looking for this L shape in our body. As we exhale, we fold back in. Inhale, press down into your feet, stretch arms out and up. Take up lots of space. Beautiful work. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Hi, Susie. As you inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Let the back of the neck lengthen and release. Beautiful. Inhaling, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, press down into your feet, stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. One more, I'm not gonna cue you, just move with your breath, let this feel good. Maybe close your eyes. Good, so we're gonna start to build a little more heat. So we're gonna add on kind of combining everything here, moving into a full sun salute. As you inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, you hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Keep looking forward, bend your knees a lot, plant your palms, spread your fingers, right foot way back, then left foot. A few breaths here in our plank pose. So your shoulders land over your wrists. Gaze slightly ahead of your fingertips. And notice if the legs have gotten lazy, firm the back of the thigh up towards the ceiling. Feel the front of the thighs press to the back of the thighs. You're gonna feel this in the sides of your body. Keep that belly pulling in and up, and then smile because plank poses are so damn fun. One more deep inhale. All right, so from here we shift forward on our toes. You can do that modified chaturanga again with your knees if you would like to. Bend elbows, no more than halfway. Pause there. Exhale the rest of the breath out. Come on down. Inhale into your low cobra or into your upward dog. As you exhale, downward facing dog. So feet, hips distance apart, arms, shoulders distance apart, stretching sit bones up towards the ceiling so we get lots of length through the front of our body and the back of our body. And then you're just taking a few breaths here, letting everything slow down. Maybe start to squeeze your forearms in towards each other a little bit. That's going to help you to engage the upper arms. These look really nice. All right, so stay in your downward dog, but as you inhale, find a little bend in your knees, come to your tippy toes, peek forward to where you're going. End of your exhale, you can walk forward, you can step right then left, or if you're ready, you can jump both feet forward. Nice. As you inhale, chest lengthens. As you exhale, fold in. Inhale, press into your feet, stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. All right. As we inhale, arms reach out and up. Good. As we exhale, we hinge forward, fold in. I love your pants, Kyla. Inhale, chest lengthens. Keep gazing forward. Bend your knees, plant your palms. Left foot back, then right foot. So shift forward on your toes here. We're on the same exhale. Bend elbows to halfway. This time you can pause there and come into your chaturanga, or you lower all the way down. That looked really good, Christy. As you exhale, downward facing dog. So lots of modifications in these chaturanga vinyasas. Knee chaturanga, it's great. I did it for years and years to help build the strength in my core and in my arms. Especially if you come into those full planks and do the chaturanga, if you find that you're dumping in your back a lot, there's a lot of pressure there, do the modified version. And some days we just need a little less. All right, so as we inhale, a little bend in the knees, come to the tippy toes, peek where you're going. And again, you can walk forward, step left and right. Maybe you hop both feet through. Inhale, chest lengthens. Exhale, fold in. Good. Inhale, press into your feet, stretch arms out and up. Good. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Inhale, arms reach. As you exhale, fold in. Maybe those hamstrings are opening up a little bit so it feels like you can get in a little deeper. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Keep looking forward. Bend your knees, plant your palms on your exhale. Step right, then left to plank pose. Shift forward on toes, maybe come to knees. Lower halfway, hover there, or come all the way down. Inhale into your low cobra or your upward facing dog. As you exhale, downward facing dog. Nice, Erica. All right, so from here, we're gonna come into our three-legged dog. I want you to keep your hips open, so we're not looking to open that right foot. As you inhale, go ahead and lift that right leg up. So toes are pointing down. You feel that inner right thigh spiral up towards the ceiling. Take a nice deep inhale here. As we exhale, we shift shoulders over wrists, curl knee into nose. So keep your gaze slightly forward. Oh, awful. Inhale, stretch back that three-legged dog. Good. This time we're going to exhale, shift forward, bring that right knee to the outer right arm or in that direction. Good. Inhale, stretch back. Exhale, shift forward. Bring that right knee towards that left arm. See if you can get it above the elbow. Do better than me. Inhale, stretch back. Good. Exhale, shift forward, knee to nose. Look forward. Now see if you can pick that foot up and step it through between your hands. It's like the hardest move in yoga. So if it doesn't get there, just pick it up and move it. Let's lower onto our left knee here. Make sure that your right knee is over your right ankle and make sure that you're not on a tightrope here. So walk that right foot off to the right a little bit if you need to. Couple breaths here, just melting this left hip down. Big, big stretch on that hip flexor. If you're really, really tight here, this is a wonderful place to have some blocks underneath your hands. This just serves to bring the floor a little closer and makes the pose a little more accessible. Okay, we're gonna come into a twist here. So again, you could use your block if that feels good. So pressing your hand, left hand, wrist under shoulder into the block. Start to open up. So you're wrapping your left ribs to the right. The tendency is for the right foot to wing out here. So press to the inner edge of that foot and then try to get those arms to stack on top of each other. Good. As you inhale, try to send the breath out in all directions. So really fill up your lungs. That's it, melt. Maybe you bring your gaze up to that top arm. These look lovely. Good, so if you would like to curl those left toes under, firm that thigh up. So come into this version of the twist. So really press back through your left heel. Good, as we exhale, let's unwind. If you're still on that back knee, go ahead and curl those toes under. So we're just in a low lunge, you're on your fingertips here. Good, reach your arms forward. Try not to lay your belly down on that front thigh. Fire up that back leg. You might have a little bend in that back knee. And then peel your chest up. So coming into our crescent pose. Take one more inhale, maybe gaze up, press palms together. As you exhale, hands come down to the mat. Keep your hips this low. So just see if you can sneak that right foot back. Find your plank pose. Take an inhale here. Feel the shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other. Tailbone reaches back. Exhale, shift forward on your toes. Lower halfway hover all the way down. You might be on your knees. You might be skipping it. Inhale into your low cobra or upward facing dog. As you exhale, pull back, downward facing dog. Take a nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth. Sigh the breath out. Ha. Let it go. Okay, so we know that where we're headed on this side. So before we even come into our three-legged dog, I want you to think outer hips squeezing in towards each other. So you're feeling support. You can feel your lower belly pull in. As you inhale, go ahead and lift that left leg. Don't overlift it. Keep the toes pointing down. Nice work. Good. As you exhale, shift shoulders over wrists, curl your knee into your nose. Ooh, yes. As you inhale, stretch back, that three-legged dog with control. Exhale, shift forward. Try to bring that left knee to your outer left arm. Climb it up. Move in that direction. It doesn't matter if you get there. Inhale, stretch back, three-legged dog. So finding the twist here. Exhale, shift forward. Bring left knee towards that right arm. Try to get it above the elbow. Great work. Inhale, stretch back, three-legged dog. Exhale, shift forward. Knee to nose. Peek forward to where you're going. And see if you can step that foot through. Pick it up, move it if you need to. Walk it a little bit to the left so you're not on a tightrope. Lower onto your right knee if you haven't already. So getting into this right hip flexor, so many big muscles attaching here. So this is really intense for most of us. It's a good one to do daily. If you need some proppage on this side, never be shy about that. Sometimes you'll just actually get a better, safer stretch. And you might be noticing how this side feels different in your body. Get curious about that. This is one of the great things that our yoga practice gives us, this kind of attention to detail, to what's happening in our body. All right, so from here, we're gonna make our way into our twist. So we're gonna keep the back knee down to start with. You can use the block if you need a little more height. So just land with your right shoulder over your right wrist. Press a little bit to the inner edge of that left foot. Start to wrap that lowermost right rib to the left, and then start to extend that top arm up if it feels okay. So we're trying to get the shoulder blades to stack on top here. If you're a little more flexible, you can the tendency is to lean that top arm back. Resist the urge to do that. So just keep shoulder blades stacking instead. Nice, Susie. Maybe you start to bring your gaze up. What's happening with your breath, especially the inhale? It's a little constricted here. Fill up. Use the exhale, that emptying out, to help you twist in a little deeper. Stay here like this for a few more breaths. If you want to curl those right toes under, start to firm that thigh up towards the ceiling. So you're up on those toes. It's like you're going to press that heel into a wall behind you. And the more active you can keep that back leg, the more stable you're going to feel here. Good, one more deep breath, maybe gaze up. These look lovely. As you exhale, you unwind. So you're just on fingertips. If you were doing the knee down modification, go ahead and curl your right toes under, firm up that thigh. So setting up for our crescent pose. All right, so legs really strong here. Engage your belly. Inhale, stretch your arms forward. This is like one of the hardest poses ever. Feel this left hip draw back, right hip draw forward. And then keep the legs exactly as they are. You might have a little bend in that right knee, especially if you're tighter in the hip flexors. That's just going to help you to get more length and space through the sides of your waist. Crescent pose here. Good. Inhale, bring your gaze up, press palms together. As you exhale, hands come down. Gaze forward, keep your hips this low so you can sneak that left foot back to meet your right foot. From here, you take a chaturanga vinyasa with your breath if you would like to. If you're starting to get cooked, you pull back to your downward facing dog. So lots of options. Can always mix and match. These look really good. And then a few breaths here in your downward facing dog. Kind of just coming back to center, letting everything slow down. Making any little adjustments that you need to. And then as we inhale, we find a little bend in the knees, come to the tippy toes. End of your exhale, you can walk forward, step right then left. You can lightly hop through. Good. As you inhale, chest lengthens. As you exhale, you fold in. Inhale, press into your feet. Stretch arms out and up. Good. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. So if you do have a block, go ahead and grab it. If you don't have one, you're just going to pretend. We're going to take the block, place it above our knees. So this is just a little feedback, kind of helps us to engage the legs a little more. So if you've got that block, you're really squeezing in. And like I said, you can just pretend if you don't have one. You can feel those inner thighs spiral back as you release your tailbone down. So your feet are about hips distance apart here. Guys can actually go a little wider with the block. Good. So finding that, keep squeezing, kind of start to shift the weight into your heels as you inhale, knees bend, arms reach up, Utkatasana chair pose. So kind of sinking the booty towards the earth and then trying to peel the chest up off the thighs. Still breathing, noticing if there's tension in your face and jaw. Smile, it's only yoga. This isn't going to be forever. And if you're feeling the burn on the tops of your legs, enjoy it as intense as it is. You're doing a good thing here. Exhale, sink a little deeper. Good. Inhale. Press your legs to straight. Hands come together at your heart. All right. So let's inhale, knees bend, arms reach up. Utkatasana chair pose. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. So if you've still got that block, you're going to keep it. And you're just going to nice and slow, little baby steps back into your plank pose. And again, it's just really nice feedback here. Squeezing into this block, trying to direct that block up towards the ceiling. Feel the shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other. Good. From here, pull back to your downward facing dog. And if you've got that block between your thighs, you can just remove it here. Sigh of relief. Good. Let's inhale, shift forward into plank pose again. Imagine that you still have that block. So find those actions in your legs. Exhale, elbows bend, chaturanga, hover here or come all the way down. Inhale, low cobra or upward facing dog. Good. As you exhale, press back into your downward facing dog. Good. So let's inhale, lift our right leg up. As you exhale, step that foot through. Make sure you're not on a tightrope. So walk the foot to the right a little bit if you need to. Keep that back leg really nice and strong so you're firmly pressing back into that left heel. Inhale, rise up. Crescent pose. Good. Take your arms out wide. So we're going to just come into our eagle arms with our crescent legs here. So we're going to give ourselves a little hug. We are going to take our left arm underneath. So elbows stack on top of each other. You can start to lift them. You can just hold on to the shoulder blades here, particularly if you're a little tighter in the shoulders. A couple of us might be able to bring the backs of our hands together. Maybe reach around, press the palms together. And then as you bend deeper into that front leg and sink your tailbone towards the floor, start to lift your elbows up. But feel those shoulder blades squeezing in towards each other and releasing down. All these little opposite actions. Breath smooth and steady. Nice work. Okay, so from here, we're going to spin into the back edge of that left foot. So more of a warrior one setup in our legs. Inhale, lift your heart and chest a little bit higher. As you exhale, we're going to come into humble warrior with these garudasana arm variations. So you kind of start to fold towards the inner edge of that leg. Let the arms remain active though. So keep stretching those fingertips forward. Find that length through the sides of your waist. Good. Breath smooth and steady. Great work. As you inhale, start to upright yourself. Good. Release the arms, stretch them up overhead. As you exhale, hands come down to the mat. Options, chaturanga vinyasa if you'd like. Step back to downward facing dog. They're all good. Wherever you're at, you're being really distinct about your poses, especially as we start to get a little tired. Sometimes we can get a little sloppy. Maybe that means you need to do a little less. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, belly helps step that foot through. Make sure you're not on a tightrope. Good. Strong back leg. Really press vigorously into that back right heel. Inhale. Rise up into your crescent pose. Good. So you feel the tailbone direct down, sternum lift. We want to hold into these actions as we take this arm variation. So take your arms out wide. Give yourself a little hug. This time the right arm comes underneath. So elbows stack here. You can kind of got your shoulder blades. You can kind of pull them apart and then start to lift elbows. Maybe you have the flexibility in shoulders to bring the backs of the hands or the palms to press together. Elbows lift wherever you're at, but shoulder blades squeeze in and release down towards the tailbone. And then start to spin into the back edge of that right foot. So the toes are pointing towards the upper right-hand corner of your mat. It's harder to square the hips here. So drive that right hip forward, left hip back. Deep inhale, lift. And then as you exhale, hinge forward, fold in any amount, but keep stretching forward through your fingertips as you feel your shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other. Vigorously still into the back edge of that right foot to help drive that right hip forward. Are you breathing? Find that inhale through your nose, that exhale through your nose. You can curse me here if you need to. Strong legs, inhale, rise on up. Release the arms, stretch them up overhead, maybe gaze up. Beautiful work. As you exhale, hands come on down. Chaturanga vinyasa if you'd like. Pull back to downward dog if you'd like. Lots of options. As you come back into your downward facing dog, take a nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. As you inhale, a little bend in your knees, come to your tippy toes. End of your exhale, walk, hop, or step forward. Inhale, chest lengthens. Exhale, fold in. As you inhale, knees bend, arms reach up, Utkatasana. So weight is in your heels. Stay here, start to shift the foot into your, or shift the weight into your left foot. Wrap that right thigh up and over. If you're a little tighter and you have a block, you can rest your foot on the block. Otherwise, you're just crossing legs, outer hip squeeze in, inner thigh squeeze in. A few of us might be able to tuck the toes around. It doesn't matter if you're doing that. Good, unwrap, find that chair. Good, start to shift the weight into the right foot. Lift the left leg up. Try to keep both hip bones facing forward here. So cross the leg, outer hip squeeze in, inner thigh squeeze in, lower belly pulls in and up. Good. Release, Utkatasana chair pose. Exhale, press your legs to straight. Hands come together at your heart. Close your eyes here. Take a couple of breaths. Let everything slow down. So we're definitely starting to feel some heat. The breath is moving a little faster, the heart's beating a little faster. All good things. All right, so blink your eyes open here. So one more little flow, kind of standing sequence here. So stick with it. We're gonna kind of tie all of this together. So you're at the top of your mat. As you inhale, knees bend, arms reach up. Utkatasana chair pose. Good, as you exhale, hinge forward, fold in, Uttanasana. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Let's keep our right foot forward, just step your left foot way back. Make sure you're not on a tightrope. Inhale, rise up. Crescent pose, good. So hips are facing forward here. Feel this, we wanna hold on to that as we move through these transitions. Exhale, take your arms out wide. So right arm is gonna come on top. Give yourself a hug. Backs of the hands press or palms press. Okay, so start to shift the weight into that front foot. Bring the back leg up and around. So find your garudasana, sink into the legs. It's like a one-legged chair. Maybe you fold forward here, hooking elbows to knees. Good, and then start to upright yourself. Uncross, stretch that left leg way back, kind of passing through a warrior three. Good, release the arms. They spin up, nice work. As you exhale, hands are gonna come down to the mat. We're gonna step our left foot to meet our right foot at the top of the mat. Inhale, chest lengthens. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, press down into your feet. Stretch arms out and up. Exhale, hands come together at your heart. Good work. One more side. Inhale, knees bend, arms reach up. Utkatasana, chair pose. All right, so let's see, we're gonna start to shift the weight into that left foot. Cross. Oh, I did this wrong. Come back out. I lied. How did I do that the last time? We're doing it from crescent pose. All right, back at the top of the mat. As you inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. So left foot is gonna stay forward this time. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Step that right foot way back. Inhale, come up into your crescent pose. Good. So we start to shift. We're gonna actually take our arms out wide first. I can't even remember what I'm doing. It's like a Monday happening up in here. Gonna give ourselves a hug. So this right arm is gonna come underneath. And you can beat any of these variations. Good, start to lean forward. So shift that weight into the left heel. Lift that back leg up. Right leg wraps around left leg. Hips are still facing forward. Nice work. And if this side looks different, if you fall out, it's no big deal. It's only yoga. The world is gonna keep spinning. Maybe you start to hinge forward, fold in. It's a little crouching eagle pose here. Good, as you inhale, upright yourself. Uncross, so reach that right leg way back, kind of pass through. Virabhadrasana 3 with eagle arms. Come on up, release. Oh. As you exhale, hands plant. This time we're gonna step back to our downward facing dog. Good, take a nice deep inhale here. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, ha. And then we're gonna inhale, shift forward into our plank pose. Good, and then nice and slow, maybe using your knees to the count of 5. Start to lower onto your belly. Keep the legs really active. 3, 2, 1. Nice work. Let's come back into our Sphinx pose. So shoulders over your elbows, pressing into your forearms, and then just feel as though you're gonna slide the mat back towards your heels. Roll a little bit to the outer edges of your feet here. Legs active. Notice how this Sphinx pose is feeling a little different. Now that we're a little warmer, we have a little more opening. So you might stay here like this. If you'd like to go a little deeper, press into your hands, and then maybe start to straighten the elbows any amount. They might not come all the way there. So you're still rooting down into your hip bones, your pubic bone. Shoulder heads are pressing back. Feel the shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other. Good. As we exhale, we release down. So you're gonna come onto your forehead here. Release your arms by your side. And we're gonna come into our Dhanurasana. So you're gonna bend your knees and you're gonna grab the outer edges of your feet. You can always use a strap here if that's not happening. Good. So the knees love to splay apart here. I want you to keep them about hip distance apart. Maybe even go a little narrower. All right. And then we're gonna take a nice deep inhale. Full complete exhale, root down. And then inhale, starts to kick your hands into your feet. Chest extends forward and up. Maybe the knees, the thighs start to lift up any amount. This is where the knees really like to splay. Erica and Christy are having fun. Feel the heart lift. Inhale, stretch a little more. Beautiful. As you exhale, release down. Just turn your cheek to one side. Good, so we're gonna do one more of those dhanurasanas. If you're just like, I don't want to, you can stay here, or you could come into another Sphinx pose. Otherwise, we bend our knees, grab the outer edges of our feet. Okay, here we go. As you inhale, kick the feet into the hands, feel the shoulder heads lift, feel the chest lengthening forward and then lifting up. Notice if the knees are splaying out, squeeze them in. This is definitely a pose that stretches the knees a little bit. It can be quite intense. Are you breathing? Are you smiling? Erica's smiling. Smiling and cursing maybe, but I can't hear her. Good, one more. Inhale, lift a little higher. It might just be a thought. Good, as you exhale, release down. Turn your cheek to the other side. And then a couple options here. Waggle your hips. Sometimes it feels good to bend your knees and then windshield wiper legs. Back and forth. Just to release all of that back bending. Good. All right. So let's all come into a cobra pose here. So just low cobra. Press to your tabletop. Curl your toes under. Downward dog. And we're going to come into a hip opener here. I'm going to set you up for single pigeon and then give you options if you don't like your single pigeon pose. So this can be a really good one to have a block or a prop. From here, we're going to inhale, lift our right leg up. Exhale, start to bend the knee, and then you're going to bring that shin forward, lower onto the back knee, left knee, before you lower onto that right knee, and then start to slide that left leg back. So it's essentially in that cobra pose that we just did. All right, so getting into the right hip here. If you are really tight, you're going to bring your heel, right heel closer to your left hip. If you're a little more open, shin comes towards parallel to the top of the mat. Prop underneath the right hip. So blanket, block, cushion from the couch is going to make life easier, and it's going to keep these hips nice and even. And then from here, we start to fold in. If you are completely and utterly miserable here in your single pigeon, you also have the option to come into your Sukhasana, double pigeon, so crossing right shin in front, and then folding forward. You could also be on your back here, doing your reclining pigeon. So crossing right ankle above that left knee, staying here like this, maybe bending left knee into your chest. So they're all kind of doing the same thing here, albeit the level of intensity in our bodies might feel a little different based on how flexible we are or how tight we're feeling. So just be in the place that you feel good. And again, just do lengthen back through your left leg. Feel that inner thigh spiral up towards the ceiling. Maybe kind of use proprioception, so kind of trying to tell where you are in space. You could even peek back. Make sure that that left leg isn't coming off to the side. So you kind of want it directly out, that heel directly out from that hip. And then you are trying to release that left hip down nice and even with the right hip. You can always rest your head on a block here in any of, the single pigeon, double pigeon variation. If you're close to the floor, but not quite there. Resting head on a block or blanket. You can make fists with your hands and rest there. That's just nice. It helps you to kind of release in a little more. And then at this stage of the game, we are starting to shift our breath. We're letting it slow down, stretch out. You can still be doing ujjayi if that feels good. Otherwise, you can kind of let that go. You're still inhaling and exhaling through your nose. Maybe it just doesn't have that effort anymore. Excuse me. All right, so wherever you're at, you're gonna start to make your way out. So in single pigeon, double pigeon, just walking your hands in. And then from single pigeon, it will feel good to make your way back into downward dog. Maybe open up that hip, bend the knee. And then we take our second side. So lifting left leg, bending that left knee. Good. Lower onto your right knee, lengthen that leg back, and then land on this left knee. So if you're tighter, left ankle closer to right hip. If you're a little more open, start to bring the shin parallel to the top of the mat. Little blanket or prop underneath that left booty. It's gonna make life a whole lot easier. And then you start to fold in any amount. And again, if you're in your double pigeon, left shin crossing in front, you can stack shins. If there is no sensation in your knee, folding forward here. Finally, if you are on your back, left ankle crossing above that right knee. You can just be here like this. This might be enough of a stretch. You can also hug that right knee into your shin or into your chest. Listening to your breath. Sending your exhale to that left hip. So these hip stretchers are really intense poses. And when we're holding them, it gets uncomfortable. So the chatter in the brain starts to kick up. Mostly it's like, oh, why isn't my body getting better at this? Why is this so rough? How much longer am I going to be here? Smile at all of that. See if you can let it go. Distract yourself by counting your breath. And maybe you need to back out a little bit. Maybe you're pushing harder than you should be. And I think that's the harder direction to go. I think we always kind of want to do our best and go for it. Less is more. Couple more good breaths here. Are you gripping anywhere that you don't need to? Soften in those places. Good, and then you're gonna start to make your way out of this pose. So if you're in your reclining pigeon, just stay on your back, hug your knees into your chest, kind of rock a little bit from side to side. From single pigeon, you can pull back to that downward facing dog, open up the hip if that felt good. And then you'll come to seated. If you're in your double pigeon, just go ahead and come to your dandasana. We're gonna take one final little forward fold here. Good, so rooting into your sit bones, shoulders stacking over your sit bones, feet flexed and active. If you're tight, strap around the feet is really nice. So you can keep some integrity in your spine and just walk your hands closer to your feet. You might be pretty upright. If you're super tight, that's fine. If you're a little more open, inhale, stretch your arms up. And then exhale, you hinge forward, fold in. So grabbing the edges of your feet, hands might rest on shins. You might even take a block to the bottom of your feet, hold on there. So we want to do this though with a nice flat back. So the tendency is to round in. Feels like we're going a little deeper. We're actually not getting quality stretch per se. So keep that length. And then again, just taking a few breaths here. And this is absolutely intense. Your hamstrings are having a conversation with you right now. Good, and then from here, we're gonna join anybody who might be on their backs. So roll on up, come onto your spine, hug your knees in, and then just a quick little twist to each side. So take your arms out nice and wide in a T shape, keep your knees hugging in. Deep inhale, exhale, knees drop off to the right. You can keep looking straight up at the ceiling or roll onto your left cheek, gazing out over left fingertips. Make sure that that left shoulder blade is still heavy here. So if it's popped up, you could either slide something under there, or maybe you need to lift your legs a little higher, slide a block underneath your thighs, your knees. So just helping to bring the spine back to neutral before we find our Shavasana. Inhale, knees come up to center. Exhale, they drop to the left. So you're anchoring down into that right shoulder blade, gazing straight up or looking out over your right fingertips. Moving towards our Shavasana. Good, inhale up to center. One final squeeze in, take a nice deep inhale. Pause the breath. Sip in a little more air. And then let it go, ha. Start to make your way into your final resting pose. So legs a little wider than hips distance apart. Arms by your side, a little wider than shoulders distance apart. Palms facing up. Eyes are closed here. Gaze is inward. If there is tension in your lower back, roll a blanket, place it underneath your knees, or you can simply bend your knees, take your feet as wide as your mat and allow your knees to knock in towards each other. So kind of finding a constructive rest position. And then just as we soaked up the initial moments of quiet in our practice, we're going to soak up these final moments. It might feel a little easier to do so. So you've worked hard, you've cultivated this space inside. Really enjoy how that feels as you just rest here. Take a deeper inhale. Let the breath go, ha. Start to bring your awareness back to your body. Start to bring a little movement back to your body. Wiggle, stretch. And just staying really nice and quiet here. Let's roll off to our left side. So just finding the fetal position there. And then you're going to use your hands to help you press up to a comfortable seat. So one final check-in, just noticing how you feel differently than when you started, noticing what's shifted for you physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically, noticing how your breath is different. Perhaps recognizing this sense of focus and calm you've created in your head, maybe even a little sense of joy and happiness. All of those feel-good chemicals and endorphins releasing. So soak that up, send yourself love and gratitude for showing up and making the effort. That's always the hardest part, but it does make a difference. Good. Bring your palms together at your heart. Just bow your head with a smile. Terrific work today. So nice to see all of you. Thank you.